people start logging in, right?
Yeah, I can start seeing stuff. Yeah, we're live right now.
Yes, we are.
There's mine. One person watching. Jacob Winterbauer. Hello. I'm gonna say hi. Hello. I'm gonna say hi.
Hello. Jacob's in there. Jacob Winterbauer.
The only one in there? Hello.
Who else logged in?
Just facing the wall.
Colin Pierce.
Vogel said he wanted to be in the studio.
I see a wall. That's BC. We're at 5 right now.
5 people. I'm surprised you got that many. Gosh, okay.
The braid out here, just switch it around. I was talking to John yesterday, I guess, and he was saying we should try Zoom. This maybe next week. It's a different app. Anybody else on it? Yeah, Colin and Jacob.
That's the only people that are talking.
Can you see anybody who's watching it?
Yeah.
I can see there's 7 people.
Oh, there's some people
Oh, yeah.
watching it.
That's all I got, 7 people.
Check out that.
You're pretty
You
good.
need to train like this more often.
We might have a new record.
How many people are on there?
7.
We're at 8 now.
Not too bad. We still got 3 freaking minutes.
Yeah. Not too shabby.
Vogel said he's coming here.
Well, he can be a part of the video. Yeah, we got people typing.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
6 feet apart.
Stacey, I think I'm pretty close there. I think we're good.
Start coughing and hacking.
Yeah. 2 minutes. Trucks did you guys go through last week? You went through the 2 bumpers? Or did you? I know the batteries are all good, and then I just go through the bumpers since I think it's the only thing we've done in a week.
I'll tell you what, I have some smoke showing today. That big garbage pile, not good. You can see that like pretty rough. I guess it was windy and that car was just whipping around the burn pile.
Frank was burning stuff today too out the car. We went for one after. 1 minute. We got more on there, Hunter?
Yeah, Max says he likes this so he can drink.
Is Oliver watching with Max?
Tommy got past the test still. That's the first thing he said. It'll be a second one in an hour if we don't pass the test.
Yeah. That's the SCBA's for dummies.
Yeah. This is an air pack.
You think we're good, Hunter?
Yeah.
All right. So Eric's going to help me out here a little bit with the tutorial of this. And we wanted to start out doing was how to do a check of our SCBAs maybe more thoroughly than what we have been doing. This is the correct way to do it. And I had some questions about this. The guys asked me, so I thought this was a good time to do that. So the first thing I would look at whenever I pull that out, when you pull it out of the seat, is one, make sure all the straps are extended all the way. Everything looks in good shape, nothing's torn, no problems. Regulator is tucked in the right spot and so on. And then after you've done that, come down and look at your gauge down here. So the pressure that's on our tanks right now is 4,500, and you can see that one's a little over 4,000. So it's good. So that's the first thing we want to look at. The next thing I would look at, the radios that we have on here are kind of new to us. I would turn that radio on and just do a check for the battery and make sure that, you know, whoever had it last didn't set us up for some kind of disaster, or you know, that they didn't forget to, or maybe they forgot to turn the battery or the radio off. So whenever I turn that on, I was too busy talking there, but it'll give you a voltage across the front of those, of what's in there. So a fully charged one of these batteries is, let me turn that back on for you, Hunter. A fully charged one is 8.5. So as long as you're 3/4 of that one says 8.1.
Red fire ground.
And then it's obviously on red fire ground, and it'll show a little lock position up there too here in a second. Or we can check and just see if we turn our knob up there, if it's going to change channels. So we know that that's locked on red, which is important for us because that's what we're always going to use on there. All right, so we're going to turn that off. We're done with that. So the next thing I want to do, I like to take my face piece without having it over top my head and take the regulator. So we're going to grab the regulator. You're going to want to open the bypass. And if you could, Eric, pull your straps off. And I just pull them up over top of the face piece, you know, kind of backwards like. Okay. And then open your regulator up and suck in there. And I think what they tell you is like 5 to 10 seconds and see if it holds a seal. So nothing's holding that on there other than the suction from Eric's face. And that kind of does like a mini flow test for us. So if these hoses and stuff like that, these SCBAs are 5 years old, but if we had a crack or something was wrong in that regulator, or down here at the bottom, these fittings like to come loose. If one of those fittings are loose right there, it will not hold a seal on your face, and you kind of got to know that you got to go looking to see what the problem is. And most likely it's that. This particular fitting here, if that is loose, or if you have to take it off to fill like somewhere up at Swick or something like that, you can go up to the top of our fill station here and you'll find a torque wrench. And that's supposed to be at 15 pounds of torque, which is not very much. Just a little bit is all that is. So we're gonna put that on there. We know that we got a good seal on there. Next, just turn the air pack on. Once we do that, Eric's shut his bypass and cleared that. So we're gonna go ahead and turn it on. So we're gonna check for our bells going off here. Our lights are all going off front, and then we can also see on the back and the front, everything should be going off. Okay, we can hear our voice amp just kicked in, so that's all good. The other thing, just to kind of make sure everything's calibrated right, since we have 4,000, a little over 4,000 PSI there in our cylinder, everything should be showing green. So the lights on the back, the lights on the front, all that should be green. Even our heads-up display should be showing green as we breathe. So Eric's going to go ahead and turn it on, make sure everything's good. Okay, and then so we don't waste air, I'm going to go ahead and shut it off. We know our pass device is working. When that pass device did go off, everything's going red. That alarm that you just heard is the half-life. And at the half-life, we see everything went amber on us. Even our head-up display. There's a low pressure alarm. All right. And then once Eric pulls that off there and everything's bled down, we can double click either side of the green buttons there, and that'll work for us. That's our telemetry system going off there, and I remoted in there earlier so that we could shut that off. And we'll go through that again here. So that's what we see inside the cab of the truck. So we're just gonna exit out of that. And the way, since you're here, Hunter, the way we got into that, on any of the tablets that are department tablets, we have our Google remote desktop. Just click on that. And if I wasn't already in there, it has a whole list of computers, like the meeting room computers, 2719, 2711, and that'll just pop right up there for you. Works pretty good. So that should be how we do our SCBA check. After you get done with that, go to, right now we're using the iAuditor app. You'll fill that out for each one of the packs on your truck. Find 2711, that what you just checked is good for all the packs on that truck, and then submit that to me in the email, and I'll take care of it Tuesday mornings. Okay, so now that we're done with that, Eric is going to show us how to properly get the radio synced in and how to tag in correctly. Do you have your tag with you, Eric? Eric's going to grab that, and while he's doing that, I'll go over the radio part. So the radio, that is a Bluetooth link, and it works best. The radio is always searching for this pack, and it's paired to this pack and this pack only. But it works best if I turn the radio on before I turn my air pack on. And it'll be in, what would you say, discovery mode for quite some time. The pack itself, once I turn the pack on, it is only in discovery mode for less than 3 minutes, like 2 minutes or so. And then it shuts that part out to conserve battery power. So we have not turned our pack on. We got our radio on, but no pack on. So Eric has his tag there, right? And Eric, do you want to demonstrate that?
So I guess what we're gonna do first thing when our pack's off, we're gonna grab the green button here and we're gonna hold it for about 5 seconds. Then after this screen comes up, we're gonna go ahead and hit the red button. This is RFID mode. We're gonna go ahead to the back of the pack here. It'll be on your right side. These are in the right part of your coat. We're gonna go ahead and put it right there, and it linked up right there. It should say Eric. So everything should be on your right side.
And you hit the red button, right, Eric?
I didn't even hit the red button.
Oh, you didn't hit
it went ahead and linked up.
The way I always find that particular little notch in there is I grab the handle and then just follow the handle down, and it's that little dovetail area.
But it does work best with the pack off. It only works with the pack off.
Yeah, well,
If you turn the pack on, it's gonna put you in a different screen when you hold the green button down.
yeah, and
Settings.
it will, let's say, recognize your tag, but it will not send your information over the telemetry system. So to do it right, the whole thing needs to be in the off position when you do that. Now, if you don't have time to do that, let's say you're in 2711 and you're going to a structure fire 2 blocks down the road, there's no way you got time for it. Don't sweat it. It'll show up as 2711 A, B, C, or D. So A is the officer, B is the one behind him, C is the middle, and D is behind the driver there. And every truck is set up exactly like that in that order. So, okay. So now we got our radios on, we're tagged in. Eric, if you want to go ahead and put that on you and get your face piece on. Now, as Eric's doing that, we go back to, this is 2711 right there on our Google desktop, or remote desktop from Google. So it hasn't picked him up yet. It takes a little bit for it to pick up. The first thing we'll see up here in the top is we'll see a number 1 up in the top, meaning that it sees somebody. It really doesn't know who it is yet, right there. You can go ahead on there, Eric, if you want to. Oops. Guess I hit the button on accident there. Okay, so it picked up Eric there. So it says 2711. Now we know by the dot down at the bottom that it's got one pack off of 2711. If I had this other pack on, it'd show two dots there. And then if we go up here, we can see Eric McDonald, and he is in the C pack, so that's the middle of 2711 there. You can see his pressure and out in there. So the next thing I wanted to demonstrate was the buddy breather part of this. See if I can do this without me breathing air. So if we had an issue inside and Eric, let's say, ran out of air or such, he could grab mine or yell, or probably wouldn't have much air to yell at me, but grab my SCBA here. And then it doesn't matter if I take his female end and my male end or vice versa, that doesn't matter. All we're gonna do is hook in like that. Now that does a couple of things. This is kind of tricky when we talk about our buddy breathers or the universal RIT fitting in the back. They do two different things. What the buddy breather does is it looks at whatever usable air we have in both packs. It's like, let's say Eric was running out of air and he's trapped or some kind of crazy thing like that. Whichever pack has the least amount of air, it's going to use that up first, if that makes sense. So Eric would obviously have less air right now. It's going to use his air up first, and then it'll go to mine. So it's going to use 100% of that and then go to mine. And then we should be able to, by pushing in, just hitting this won't work. You have to push in and go back out. So that's how we use the buddy breather. And also we're going to demonstrate here in a little bit on the platform how that works. You can leave that same buddy breather out if you want, Eric. All right, now we got our RIT bag here. And if you're on the RIT team, it would sure be nice if you could do this and then remember to turn it off. Things are looking kind of hairy. Turn your bottle on before you go in so you don't have to fumble around and do that if you ever had to use it. Hopefully you don't. But in there we have two options. We have our universal RIT connection and we have our buddy breather. Slightly different, but pretty much the same thing here. So push that in. Now I can also take more than one and keep daisy chaining them like that. And it's just going to take whichever one's lower and keep breathing off of it like that. In the aerial ladder, you have two connections, I believe. Does that sound right, guys? Two connections in the aerial ladder. But, you know, you could possibly have three people up there. I don't know if you really want to do that, but with your weight load up there, you still could. You could daisy chain them together like that and they'd work just fine. All right, let's take Eric off of that. Okay, the other thing that I got here is a universal RIT. So the buddy breather at this time, that is, let's say, a brand specific thing. So while, let's say, the Scotts over in Smithton, they have a buddy breather on there, but they don't work with ours and ours don't work with theirs. And some of the other brands, the ISIs, those brands, there's nothing wrong with what they have. They just don't work together. But they all have this universal RIT fitting that does work together. So that one, Eric, this one's a little harder to get in there under pressure. There we go. It wasn't as hard as I thought. Now, that one's going to do something a little different. So at the buddy breather, it's going to use the cylinder that has the least amount of air first and then go to the next one. With this one, it's going to equalize the two tanks. So just like with the fill station, when we turn two tanks on at the same time or two banks on at the same time, that is what this is going to do also. It's just going to equalize the two tanks. So which one's better, buddy breather or the universal RIT? It kind of depends on the situation you're dealing with, you know. just know what you got and hopefully realize your situation you're in and which one to do that. Last ditch effort, you never want to remove somebody's face piece in a life-threatening atmosphere there, but you do have that in there too. You can do a whole face piece switch out or the regulator, but like I said, that you really don't ever want to remove somebody's face piece in a ideal H atmosphere there. So, okay, I think you're good to pull your pack off, Eric, and shut that off. I wanted to go through a couple more tools in this grit bag before I put that away. I guess I should mention when you're doing your truck checks, to pull your RIT bag out, there's no electronics on the RIT bag. Shut this up. There's no electronics on that RIT bag, so you don't really have to worry about batteries or things like that. But just to pull the RIT bag out, make sure everything's hooked up, make sure the fittings are tucked away nice and neat, and then also the pressure, the air pressure in there. Eric, do you mind shutting that thing off there? So the couple tools that we have, each one of these RIT bags, and we got one on 17, 11, and 19. Each one should have a flashlight on there. Check that, make sure that's working. Face piece, everything's good there. In the bottom, you have a search rope. So that is a fire retardant search rope. And you got carabiners that you can hook onto a door to do a search on your way in. You know where your way back out. And that just deploys out the bottom of the bag. On the side here, you got two pouches. Everything I have in there is pink. So my thought was on that no one's going to carry around a pink tool. That's why I painted all those pink. And if someone is carrying around a pink tool, they're the jerk that took them out of the RIT bag. So you got pliers, door wedge, and trauma shears in there. And then the last thing we have is a sling link, which we've done a little training on that. That's a good man mover tool there for moving people. So that's what we have in there. So flashlight, pliers, door wedge, trauma shears, and the sling link in there. Let me go back step a little bit, and then we'll go over to the aerial ladder truck. On the air packs, I did want to mention to you guys on the batteries. So we have rechargeable lithium batteries in all of our air packs. Those get recharged, I would say, about once a month. I go through and do that. Somebody will let me know that they're getting a little low, and I'll go through and charge all of them. I don't have spares of these, so we have alkaline battery packs back there that I use whenever I'm doing charging in them, but they work basically the same way. So if you see that you're low on that, let me know. You can throw an alkaline one in there, and then I'll take care of charging all the rest of them the next day. You don't want this to go all the way down to like 50%. Somewhere above 50%, so around 75% to 50%, it will shut off all the telemetry stuff on there to conserve battery power. So we always want to keep that, above 60% on the battery level. And you can see that whenever you're doing your SCBA checks, just by holding the green button there. You'll see I had already tagged into this one, and that one's showing full. And it's green. So anything else to add to that? To remove those batteries, you take your seat belt in there, push it right in there. I don't want to do it because it'll reset this pack, and then we'll have to take your seat belt in, push that in, the battery will pop right out. You'll get your new battery, slap it in there, and you're good to go. And just let me know, and I'll make sure I take care of charging all those. All right, let's go over to the ladder truck, and we'll talk about how to hook up and that. So we're gonna go around the captain side of the ladder truck first. If you want to bring your face piece there. So this cylinder is charged to 6,000 PSI, pretty much the same cylinder that's on the side of the fill station over there. Now, what's interesting about 6,000 PSI is you remember what's in your air pack, that is at 4,500, right? So it's less. And you remember what I told you about the buddy breather is it's going to use whichever pressure is less first on that. So you can get in a little bit of a trick situation there. If you leave your air pack on when you're up there, it might use your air first before it uses this. So go ahead and get started by turning your air on up there. But then once you get your air going, it's best to turn your tank off so that you use that as your, let's say, escape pack. But that's at 6,000 PSI is what that is to get started. When we turn this on, it's got a regulator on there that should have a set. I got my notes here right at 80 PSI. I'm a little shy of that right now. Okay, then we should be good to go. This is where we hook up to fill off of our fill station. So all I had to do was open this, adjust that if it needs it a little bit. It's probably good to go though. And then we're gonna head up here where Eric is. You gonna stay down on the ground, or you can probably go up the ladder there?
Yeah.
You?
Yes, a quick note is in the ladder up here, the actual buddy breather connection is not in the regulator. There's two of them that are in this box right here. So you got to remember, your buddy breather will not just hook up into this fitting. You'll have to pull the one out from in there. Then you just got your standard buddy breather connection. So it's the same deal. Do you have to even turn your pack on?
Like I say down there, I would turn your pack. If you don't turn your pack on, I think it's going to turn it on anyways because it's here to see pressure, as I remember. There's a way you can kind of trick that if you don't want your pass device going off, but then you're not going to have your speaker mic working or any of that kind of stuff either. So I would turn your pack on, plug in, and then as soon as you get done plugging in, turn your cylinder off. That way we know that we have that air in our cylinder. If something fails down there, which it has before, we know that we're good. Now that little click or that chirp that you heard there, that was Eric's radio keying into his pack.
Then it does take all your air pressure out of your regulator.
Yeah.
You're sucking the air out of your tank.
Yeah. There we go. So Eric's still breathing off of that. Is there any questions on that online, or does anyone ask any questions so far?
Not yet.
Nothing? We're good to go. You can see here too, Eric, what's your gauge reading there?
Just under 80.
80?
Right at.
Yeah. And then, you know, if you got another guy up here in the basket with you, he can plug into the bottom port, or there's nothing wrong with just plugging into the other end of Eric's buddy breather there. We can daisy chain as many people as you want on that. So pretty neat thing. The only other thing I want to mention here and you can go off air, Eric, if you want. When you're all said and done here, we're going to turn our tank off down there, which I'm going to do. And then up at the very top, there's a bleeder that you can pull. So we want to drain all of our air that is in between the cylinder down there and up here at the ladder. If we don't do that, it's going to leak out over the next couple days. And whenever you go to start the truck up, you're going to get a low air alarm, and you're going to be like wandering around, wondering what's going on and where that alarm's coming from. So I'm going to go down and turn that off, and you guys can believe that. Also note, we added that hose on there while we're up here looking at stuff. We added that after the last fire with new aprons. All right, you guys are good.
Hey Hans.
Yeah, question?
Yeah, Andy does.
Okay.
He asked, how do you keep your pass device from going off while in truck air?
You can't. It's going to. So,
And there's the answer.
yeah, sorry. I wish there was a way to do that. So we're gonna come back over here to the fill station and we're gonna grab some cylinders here and fill them up. Sorry, guys. Jacob, I'll hurry up. It looks like we're at 25 minutes, so I'm gonna make this as short as I can there. I always check my adapter on that. Make sure that's tight. Push that in. And I don't know if Eric's coming over, so I'm gonna, if I'm on the top one here, I'm gonna shut this one, okay? Make sure that that one's open. All right, so I'm hooked in, it's open. And that was open there. Open my cylinder here. Okay, that's got to be all the way up. So that's shut. We're going to go to bank one first. So bank one, this is a great example here. I'm probably not going to get it totally full off of bank one. So I'm going to open bank one. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here. I need to adjust this. It looks like a little bit. It was a little strong. I got that to 4,000 or 4,500 there. Okay, and I'm going to get that out of there, but let's say I didn't. Okay, so if I didn't get all of my air out of there off of bank one because I lost too much pressure, I'm going to close bank one. And open bank two. Okay, which looks like somebody left it open. So that's, you don't want to do that. I didn't realize that somebody had it open. So if you open two banks or three banks, if you open more than one bank, they all equalize out. And then you lose your pressure and it kind of sucks there. So make sure that one bank, only one at a time is open. So you use your first one. Once you deplenish that to where you're not getting the air out of there, then I'm going to go to bank two, which now I'm open there. Come back over here and fill it up, and I'm already at 45. So you do kind of want to watch that, you know, so you don't get too crazy. If you get up to, let's say, close to the 5,000 there, it's going to blow the little relief valve in your pack, and you'll have to get that replaced. So we want to watch that. If you're filling your tank somewhere else, there's other types of pressures out there. So I think down in New Athens, I hope I'm saying this right, I think they're still in 2216s. They got new packs coming that will match ours, is what I've been told. But some people still have 2216s. So watch that if you're filling your stuff with theirs, that you don't overfill theirs or underfill yours. Over in Smithton, their Scots, they're the same as ours. They're 45. There are some Scots out there that are a little higher. I think 5,000 or 5,500 PSI is what I think some of those are. Just beware of that there's other standards out there for different cylinders, I guess you'd say. So once I'm ready to pull this off, I got, this is shut. Come down here. I'm going to shut my air cylinder. And for the new guys, I know that this is really confusing. We'll walk this up. So I shut my cylinder, came up here and I vented it. That way there's no air now trapped between here and here. And then I can pull that off and I'm good to go. So any questions at all, Hunter?
No.
Otherwise, I think that concludes our training. Before you go though, I'm going to send out an active 911 here in about 2 minutes. And it's going to have another link to that. Click that link. It should open up a Google form, and it's going to have 8 questions that are very simple for you guys to answer. And we're using that as your attendance. If I see that, it'll tell you if you got the wrong answer and tell you what the right answer is. So that's not my goal is to see any of you guys flunk or fail or anything like that. It's just that's the way I'm going to show that, we sat through and listened to this. So that's all I got. If there's no questions.